So as a single guy, I'm learning to protect what is most valuable to me. So two-part question. The first part, as a married couple, what is most valuable to you?
Well, I think that one of the most valuable things to us has been to just be intentional about our marriage. When you're dating, it's easy to pursue each other, but when you're married, it becomes more difficult for some reason. And so just continuing to pursue each other and be intentional about almost dating even after you're married.
And I don't think I always knew that at the beginning. We had a pretty easy start as far as dating and engagement. And I don't think I always realized that, oh, wow, this actually takes work if you want to have a good marriage. I kind of just thought that happened.
It's kind of like pre-deciding beforehand that you're going to put the effort in, not waiting till it gets tough and then go, oh, what have I gotten myself into? You decide beforehand, I know this is going to be struggles, but there's great things with it too.
Right, and as you say, being intentional, but keeping the little things alive that you had when you were first dating. Keep those things alive. I think that's important for us to stay, connected to each other.
So as a follow-up, how do you guys protect that intentionality?
Yeah, I would definitely say still dating each other. It's pretty easy, especially now that we have 4 kids, to just kind of go along with the motions. And we're both tired at night, but just being really intentional about making time together.
And I would say, sometimes with kids, it's like, hey, they're going to bed 8:30, and it's so easy to turn on the TV for Jamie to get busy doing all the chores and all the tasks that she couldn't get to that day. And I think as a married couple, it's so easy to just sort of zone out and not even actually face each other and have that conversation. And so you have to be intentional about it. You have to turn the TV off. You have to face each other and have that conversation. And we have called it our in-house dates, that you have to do dates, even with kids, which can be difficult, sometimes expensive to always have a babysitter, but you can be creative to get that time together.
I think it's also important to find each other's interests and learn to enjoy them, and that will keep you connected. Because if it's something they love, you don't have to be great at it, but learn to love it too.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at shopping now.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been a long time since I've been single, and I have 3 daughters, so I'm really curious to see what's changed. What do you do as a single person to protect yourself?
Yeah. For me, being in a dating relationship right now, after all of college and all of that, I have, we've made specific rules and expectations basically of just what we want with our relationship so that we're protecting what we do for the long run. So
That's great. What about you, Josh?
You talked about relationships, and I think it's so important as a guy, single guy, to have some really good guy relationships to keep you accountable. And, something that my father taught my brother and I growing up is you got to give someone refrigerator rights. So, I would, go to Pam and Russell's house. I'm good friends with them, but it's not comfortable enough just going to their home and opening up the refrigerator and taking what I want. But if I went to my parents' house, of course I would go in and find something. And so that translates into a relationship, like who can get in and get whatever they want out of you. The friends who will ask you those tough questions like, so Josh, how's it going with your purity this week? Asking me, have you read your Bible? What can I pray for you for? And getting someone who's not afraid to, quote unquote, get their hands dirty and really do life with you and get to a level beyond superficiality. And I think what that does is it helps to set me up for success. So when I do meet somebody, I look at her the way I look at God, and I'm able to translate the love that I have for him to that right kind of love to have for her.
So I've been working really hard to protect myself, and I know that that's the right thing, but what I really want to know is it worth it?
Well, of course it is, right?
I'd say it's worth it.
Of course it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. And I just think that when you do protect yourself for marriage and for the person that God has specifically picked for you, and you enter into the marriage, there is nothing greater than intimacy in marriage.
And it's not a one-time thing. It's not like, okay, you have your wedding night and there it is. Like, it's something that grows and just gets better and better every year, or at least it should.
4 kids, Lauren. We practice.
How do you protect that, like to make it just, good for the long haul?
I think a lot of that comes from a woman too, and I don't think I always understood that fully or knew what that meant. But one of my mentors shared with me the 72-hour rule, and that seemed really funny to me, and I kind of even giggled when she told me that. But being really intentional about just respecting and honoring my husband and what he needs, and really doing it out of love and serving one another, and I think that's how intimacy grows, of an understanding of that, and then just being intentional about even taking time for intimacy.
I don't remember seeing the 72-hour rule in the Bible. Could you explain that one? That one, I missed that chapter.
Russell, it's in there.
Well, and so one of the things for me, because I was not raised with the rules that you were talking about, and I can still say that even if there's times when you've not made the best choices, regardless of what your past, God can redeem that, and it's still starting now making that decision, I think, is really important. So I think for us, we made that decision, and for me, it still made the marriage awesome from an intimate standpoint.
But I think that, too, it's just great for us as men to understand, on the flip side, while we may have these physical needs inside the intimacy of a marriage, a woman has emotional needs inside the intimacy of a marriage. And we joked earlier about the 72-hour rule, but if Jamie is respecting my needs in that way, then I need to love her in a way where I'm looking out for her emotional needs. And so part of that is simply taking the time to care for her, to ask her questions, to find out about her day, to care about her in a way that I'm showing her that same respect in return.
So we talked about meeting 2 kinds of needs: physical need, which I think I got down, emotional needs. How do you know what your wife needs emotionally?
That's a good question. I'm still trying to figure it out. I think honestly, we're guys, and in a friendship you get to know somebody, but ultimately I think it's a constant process of learning Jamie's needs, getting to know her needs, but I'm still trying to figure it out. I think most men are probably in a very similar place.
I would agree on that to a certain extent. Women tend to think that men can read their minds or have an expectation that they can. So the key really is, and it's been said before, but communication, in that if you want to know what's important to your possible future spouse, you might want to say, what is important to you? Let's have these conversations. I want to know you better. Let her know that you can't read her mind, but it's important to you what's important to her. Right. And I think that starts the conversation where you begin to learn each other's needs.
Do you think that most middle school and high schoolers actually understand that, the differences?
I don't think they do necessarily understand it at that age, but I think there's a way to get them to they're taught to look at each other differently. This is how we treat girls, and this is how we respond to boys when they speak to us. And you just learn to value each other's differences at an early age. I think you can.
Wow. Yeah. I think even for a guy, that's a perspective change.
Right.
And ultimately, that's what we have to do in marriage too, is look at our spouse and go like, wow, you are valuable, your needs are valuable, your emotional needs are valuable. The other way around, your physical needs are valuable, and it's really about valuing the other person.
Right.